Hello everybody, I hope everybody is well. I'm going to do a couple practice problems out of section 5.1. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the YouTube videos that I posted on Blackboard. If you haven't viewed those, please view those first before you look at these examples. All right, a couple problems. All of these problems are going to simplify. So the instructions for all of these that I'm going to demonstrate is going to be the word simplify. All right, the first one we're going to look at is 2y raised to the fifth power. We're going to simplify this. Now everything inside the parentheses is subject to this fifth power outside the parentheses. So that means the 2 and also the factor of y. So what this is saying then is that the 2 inside the parentheses must be raised to the fifth power times the y inside the parentheses must be raised to the fifth power. Okay. Now, 2 to the fifth power is, of course, 2 times itself 5 times, and y to the fifth is just y to the fifth. Okay. Now, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 times 2 is 32. Hence, we have 32y to the fifth power, and that would be your final answer for that problem there. Okay. All right, the next one. We will simplify negative 3x to the third power. What this is saying is everything inside the parentheses must be raised to the third power. Well, that includes the factor of negative 3 and also the factor of x. So negative 3 must be raised to the third power times, because it's multiplication here, x must be raised to the third power. Now, negative 3 to the third power here is saying negative 3 times itself 3 times. And of course you have x cubed. Okay? Because we're multiplying an odd number of negative factors here together, our product is going to be negative. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. So we'll have negative 27x cubed as being the final answer for that problem there. Next, we're going to take this monomial, 5xyz. Make sure you always put slashes through your z's. And we're going to cube this entire monomial. To do so means we must raise everything inside parentheses to the third power. So 5 must be raised to the third power, times x must be raised to the third power, times y must be raised to the third power, times z must be raised to the third power. Now 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5. And we got x cubed, y cubed, z cubed. Now, 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 multiplied by 5 is 125. So we would have for our answer 125x cubed, y cubed, z cubed. That is the final answer for that problem there. Now we're going to take 3x to the fifth power and raise this to the second power. Everything inside the parentheses must be squared, so therefore 3 must be squared times x to the fifth must also be squared. Now 3 squared is to say 3 times 3, which would be 9. And ladies and gentlemen, when we raise a power to a power, we multiply the exponents. Okay, so when you raise a power to a power, you don't add the exponents, you multiply the exponents. So we'll have x to the 5 times 2 power. So the final answer here is going to be 9x to the 10th power, and we are done with that problem there. All right, next one, we're going to take x to the fifth power, and we're going to square that. Then we're going to multiply that by x cubed, which will be raised to the fifth power. Now again, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply the exponents. And so we're going to have x to the fifth power raised to the second power is going to be x to the 5 times 2 power. So x to the 5 times 2 power times x to the third power raised to the fifth power. We multiply these exponents. So 3 times 5 then will be x to the 3 power raised to the fifth power. So we'll have x to the 3 times 5 power. So x to the 5 times 2 power is x to the 10th power, and that will get multiplied by y to the 3 times 5 power, excuse me, multiplied by x to the 3 times 5 power, which is to say multiplied by x to the 15th power. Now we shift gears and use a different rule for exponents. When you multiply like bases together, you keep the base the same and you add the exponents now. So this will give us x to the 10 plus 15 power, which the final answer will be x to the 25th power. And we're done with that problem. All right, one last one here. Suppose we have 4x squared y cubed, and we're going to raise this to the positive 2 power. The whole monomial is going to be squared. Well, that means that everything inside the parentheses must be squared. So therefore, 4 must be squared times x squared must be squared. Okay, everything inside the parentheses must be squared. So it's kind of like, think of it as being kind of like distributing this outermost exponent into all the factors inside the parentheses. So we have 4 squared, and we have x squared squared times y cubed squared. Let me write it down here. It's getting a little tight in here. So we have 4 squared times x squared squared times y cubed squared. Now, 4x squared is 4 times 4, not 4 times 2, but 4 times 4, which is 16. And x squared squared, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply the exponents. So x squared squared is going to be x to the 2 times 2 power, or x to the 4th power, times y cubed squared. Again, you multiply these exponents, so it'll be y to the 3 times 2 power, or y to the 6th power. And ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at your final answer. It is 16x to the 4th power, y to the 6th power. So that takes care of simplifying some problems in section 5.1, and this deals with utilizing the properties of exponents that were revealed in the YouTube videos that I did post, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at those.